When I left home, Papa said, son, don't ever forget where you came from. Well, I never did. But I still know what I like. My Olds Cutlass Supreme. Real good-looking car.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J with This Old Car, and in this video we zoom through the generations of the Oldsmobile Cutlass and go over some of its features. You know, Oldsmobile first used the Cutlass name on an experimental sports coupe designed in 1954. It featured a dramatic boat-tailed fastback, roofline, and stock V8. Its platform was similar to the compact F-85 introduced 7 years later. You know, General Motors began developing its first compact car, 1956, beginning with the initial planning on what would be the Chevrolet Corvair in 1960.
Whoever said you can't mix business and pleasure? This man does it every day in Oldsmobile's new F-85.
The following year, a second series of somewhat longer cars was planned for Buick, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac, what would be termed senior compacts on the Y platform. Included in that Y body was the Oldsmobile F-85. The first-year F-85 was offered in two body styles, a four-door sedan or a four-door station wagon with either 2 or 3 seats, and in a choice of 2 trim levels, base or deluxe.
Now, come on, let's take a long look at the longer look of the sleek new F-85s for 1963. How are these for starters? You know at a glance they're Oldsmobiles. Now, isn't this sedan a beauty? It's designed for easy entering and styled for comfort.
The F-85 was restyled for the 1963 model year to a crispier, more squared-off design than the one of the 61 through 1962 models. While the wheelbase was unchanged at 112 inches, the new sheet metal added 4 inches, or 100 millimeters, to the F-85's rear overhang. Disappointing sales of the compact F-85, along with the introduction of Ford Motor Company's intermediate Fairlane in 1962, prompted GM to enlarge the senior compacts of the 1964 model year.
Surf City, USA. And surf's up. The action, hot dogging. The car, new F-85 by Oldsmobile.
For 1965, a modest facelift increased the overall length to 204.3 inches, or 5,190 millimeters, while the front end received a dumbbell-styled grille similar to full-size Olds models. A bigger 400 cubic inch 6.6-liter engine was included with the 442 option.
Exciting winner for 1967, Cutlass Supreme by Oldsmobile.
Cutlass Supreme. Very
new for 1967 were the optional disc brakes and the 3-speed turbo hydromatic. It was to supplement the 2-speed Jetaway. The new option was called the Turnpike Cruiser package on the Cutlass Supreme coupes and convertibles.
Now, all Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme 2-door models can be custom equipped for Turnpike cruising to provide you with top
which used a 2-barrel carburetor and mild camshaft with the 400 cubic inch 6.6-liter engine. Interesting fact, the term Turnpike Cruiser was a naming conflict due to the 1957 through 58 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser.
1968 is happening. Something young is happening. The young mobiles from Oldsmobile. They're what's young, what's fun, what Olds is all about. Young.
1968 brought in the third generation. The F-85 Cutlass underwent a major body restyle, as did all other GM A-body cars. 2-door and 4-door models now rode on different wheelbases. 116 inches or 2,900 millimeters for the 4 doors. Inside the 1968 F-85, passengers were greeted with spacious seating, providing ample support for long drives. The dashboard featured a clean and uncluttered layout with easy-to-read gauges and intuitive controls within reach of the driver.
Lower, lower, priced much lower than you'd guess. Oldsmobile.
You know, in 1970, the F-85 and Cutlass were available in 7 body styles, 3 of which were coupes.
Boy, if your friends could see you in this Cutlass S. Solid body by Fisher. Yeah, side guard beams.
Hey, you know, in 1972, there were minor style changes to the Cutlass, and the 442 reverted to being a Cutlass trimline instead of the distinct model it was in 1971. The primary changes to the 1972 Cutlass were the front grills and the taillights. The straight 6 engine was dropped but would return to the lineup in 1975. The Hurst Olds used the Cutlass Supreme notchback hardtop and convertible bodies. A 1972 Hurst Olds paced the Indianapolis 500, and Oldsmobile built about 630 replicas, some 25% of them convertibles. 1973 began the 4th generation for the Oldsmobile Cutlass. The Cutlass line was redesigned for 1973 using GM's new Colonade A-body platform. The model lineup consisted of the base Cutlass, Cutlass S, Cutlass Supreme, and Cutlass Salon, along with the Vista Cruiser station wagon. You know, the Vista Cruiser brings back memories for me because one, it was in that 70s sitcom, right? Which I love the sitcom. And 2, in 73, there we are driving up to my aunt and uncle's house in a 68 Chevy Bel Air, and they had just bought a brand new 73 Vista Cruiser. Man, and I was like, I wish we had one of those.
And now, let me show you some kind of a car. This Olds Cutlass Supreme.
Hey, you know, changes for the 1974 included new taillight lenses, a radiator grille, and a new front fascia with bumper-mounted turn signals used only on the base model.
Perfect for a man of my position.
Olds Cutlass Supreme Brome. We build them around people with luxury in mind. Can we build one for you?
Hold all call.
In 1976, Cutlass became America's best-selling car this year and would hold this title for most years into the 1980s. A restyled front end and waterfall-type split grills and new rectangular headlights was introduced. You know, the new design would become an Oldsmobile Cutlass trademark in the coming years and lasting into the late 80s. Taillights were revised and the license plate fuel filler was moved above the bumper. The base Cutlass line was dropped with the Cutlass S nameplate now applied to the entry-level coupe and sedan this year, both of which featured the aerodynamic slanted front nose in contrast to the upright front ends of the other Cutlass models.
The famous design of Olds Cutlass Supreme is one reason why it's so popular. But there's another reason. Cutlass is different cars for different people.
1978 brought in the 5th generation of the Oldsmobile Cutlass. The 1978 Cutlass was downsized to the new version of GM's A-body with a shorter 108-inch or 2,743 millimeter wheelbase. This Cutlass was lighter than the earlier versions at around 3,300 pounds or 1,500 kilograms, and it could be ordered with any of several engines built by GM's different divisions. You know, for 1980, Cutlass Supreme received a new header panel incorporating 4 headlights, mimicking the 1977 model. You know, 1997 brought in the 6th and final generation of the Cutlass. It was, by then, they all looked the same, right? So the Cutlass looked very similar to the Chevrolet Malibu. It was the 5th generation Malibu. Visually, it had a split grille front fascia like the other Oldsmobiles at the time and all red rear tail lamps. Production of this generation of Cutlass ended July 2nd of 1999. Making it the final vehicle to bear the Cutlass name. Hey, that's going to wrap it up on the Oldsmobile Cutlass. Did you have a Vista Cruiser like my aunt and uncle did? I want to know. Leave your comments below. You know, we noticed this, that a lot of you guys are watching the videos, but you're not clicking that subscribe button. Help us out. Help the algorithm out. This helps us keep pushing videos out that you enjoy to watch. And, hey, it's simple. Just like, subscribe, and hit the bell for any future notifications. This is Michael J. with This Old Car. We'll catch you next time.